Before diving into this incredible story, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the bell. Every story here has something to say, and you won't want to miss a single one. The sun was relentless that day, pouring a dry, burning heat onto the dusty roads of Phoenix, Arizona. The air seemed to ripple, like a warm wave that made the horizon tremble as far as the eye could see. In the distance, the mountains loomed, blurred and almost unreal in the harsh light. Highway 17, wide and monotonous, swallowed up cars speeding by, their engines roaring, their shiny bodies dazzling the few passers-by. No one paid any attention to the small gas station that still stood, standing there like a forgotten relic of the past. The dented gas pumps, the tired neon signs, the peeling paint on the walls of the old building, everything exuded abandonment and nostalgia. Between two seedy motels, whose cracked facades seemed to silently cry out their decline, a figure stood leaning over the hood of a rusty old pickup truck. It was Emma Brooks, 24, slim and lively, with her brown hair tied back in a ponytail under a faded cap. Her normally lively green eyes were tired but focused. She had been trying for over 2 hours to restart this old truck, which had more stories to tell than many locals. Her once white t-shirt was now stained with sweat, grease, and dust, sticking to her burning skin. Her fingers, marked by years of hard work, were covered in grease, small cuts, silent witnesses to the daily struggles with the temperamental engines. Ever since her father, once a successful mechanic, was struck down by illness, Emma had had to take over alone. Every day was a struggle to keep the family's small garage running, a tiny, dusty space where the acrid smell of motor oil mingled with that of heated metal. Her dreams of higher education had been swept away, replaced by the harsh reality: survive, repair, hold on. She straightened for a moment, wiped the sweat from her forehead with the back of her sleeve, and looked back at the road. Far ahead, a cloud of dust rose, growing larger as it approached. A dull, powerful thud echoed through the stifling silence of the desert. It was a sports car, a black 1967 Mustang, perfectly restored, its engine roaring with almost arrogant power. But one detail betrayed a problem: gray smoke billowed from the half-open hood, mingling with the dust in an ominous dance. The car stopped abruptly in front of the garage, kicking up a small cloud of sand. The door swung open with a crash, and a man stepped out briskly. He was tall, in his late 30s, wearing a crisp white shirt with rolled-up sleeves and smart beige slacks. His designer sunglasses reflected the intense blue sky. Caleb glanced at his Mustang in annoyance, his face slightly contorted with frustration. The engine, despite its power, was belching out thick gray smoke that slowly dissipated into the hot desert air. His fingers nervously tapped the dashboard, searching for a solution he couldn't find. Then his eyes slid over to Emma, leaning effortlessly over the old pickup truck. Her slim, disheveled figure contrasted with his understated elegance. She seemed absorbed in her work, but her calmness inspired confidence. He approached with measured steps, trying to hide his nervousness with a calm demeanor. "Hello. Could you take a look at my car?" he asked, his voice betraying a hint of concern. "My engine is overheating and I don't understand what's going on." Emma barely looked up at him, her expression impassive and focused. "I can try," she replied simply, her voice soft but assured. Without missing a beat, she stood up and headed toward the Mustang. Caleb followed her, intrigued. He wasn't used to strangers coming to his aid without questioning his identity or wealth. It wasn't every day you met someone who seemed as adept at engines as he was at business. Emma opened the hood and quickly scanned the engine. Within seconds, her keen eyes detected a leak in the radiator. A thin drop of red fluid was leaking out, forming a small puddle on the ground. She rummaged in her toolbox, took out a worn piece of cloth and a cable tie, which she handled skillfully. "It's temporary," she said, bustling about. "You need to change that radiator ASAP. Otherwise, you'll burn out the engine, and then it'll be a lot more expensive." Caleb watched her, fascinated. He'd never seen anyone handle tools with such confidence, especially not a young woman with oil-stained hands and simple clothing. "You're really talented," he admitted admiringly. "Did you teach yourself?" Emma looked up, a small, sad smile on her lips. My father taught me everything, she replied. But now he can't anymore. He's sick. A silence fell, filled with unspoken emotion. Caleb felt a surge of respect and compassion rise within him. This young woman wasn't asking for anything, yet she carried an enormous weight on her shoulders. Emma slowly turned around to put her tools back in her worn box, but something suddenly caught her eye. Her eyes fell on Caleb's left hand, resting casually on the hood of the Mustang. On her ring finger, a finely engraved silver ring sparkled. Simple, discreet, but with a story to tell. The initials, barely visible beneath the scratches of time, seemed to form L followed by UB. Emma's world froze, as if time had stood still around them. A strange warmth filled her chest, mixed with a dizziness she couldn't control. Her breath came in short bursts. With hesitant steps, almost trembling, she approached. Her voice broke, fragile, like a thread stretched too tight. Your ring. Where did you get it? Caleb looked away, surprised by the unexpected question. His eyes met hers, filled with an emotion he hadn't expected to awaken. This ring, he murmured, as if to convince himself. It was my sister's. She died 8 years ago. I always carry it with me. Emma felt her heart clench. She barely whispered, as if saying that name might shatter this fragile moment. What was her name? Caleb tilted his head, a raspy breath in his throat. Lily. Lily Brooks. A flash of lightning crossed Emma's mind. Her throat tightened, her vision blurred. She took a step back, her face turning pale, the words escaping her despite herself. She was my sister. The silence became palpable, almost oppressive. Caleb slowly removed his sunglasses, revealing eyes where disbelief mingled with deep pain. Wait. You're Emma? Emma Brooks? She nodded, unable to speak. Her chest heaved with emotion. Oh my God, Caleb breathed, his voice trembling. Lily talked about you all the time. She wrote me a letter before she died. She was sorry she never found you. I looked everywhere for you. But you had disappeared from the system. Placed with another family, then relocated somewhere else. I thought you were gone. Silent tears rolled down Emma's dusty cheeks. She swallowed her sorrow and whispered, her voice broken by years of pain. I was separated from Lily when I was 10. She was an adult, so they left her. I was sent far away. I was told she didn't want me anymore. That I should forget her. Caleb took a step forward, ever so gently, as if afraid of breaking this fragile moment. She loved you more than anything in the world. She wrote you letters that I never managed to get to you. And today, I'm broken down here, in the middle of nowhere, and you're the one helping me. With arms wide open, he invited Emma to surrender. Hesitant for a second, overcome with emotion, Emma threw herself into his arms, letting out all the years of accumulated pain, anguish, and loneliness. They cried together for a long time under the burning Arizona sun, the warm wind gently caressing their shoulders. Two souls separated by life, finally reunited. A few days passed, filled with confused thoughts and conflicting emotions for Emma. She turned over every moment of that meeting, every word exchanged, trying to understand what it all meant to her. Her life, until then one of solitude and constant effort, suddenly seemed to open up to a new possibility, fragile and uncertain. Then, one afternoon, as the sun set behind the red hills of Arizona, Caleb returned to the dusty little garage. But this time, it wasn't a broken-down car or an urgent repair. Caleb walked in calmly, his gaze filled with gentleness and determination. Emma, he began, I want to offer you something. Not just a job. I want to offer you a place, a real place, in my life and in my family. Lily would have wanted me to look after you, to help you find your way. Emma felt a mixture of emotions rising within her, gratitude, fear, but also a fierce pride that whispered to her to refuse, to not let her guard down. Caleb, I don't know. I'm afraid of losing everything again. I don't know if I can trust you, she replied, her voice trembling. He nodded in understanding, without insisting. I won't ask you for anything you're not willing to give. I'll be there, at your pace. So Caleb remained present, silent but faithful, appearing from time to time at the garage, offering his support without ever forcing it. Days passed. Little by little, Emma felt that the shadow of the past was dissipating, that Caleb's outstretched hand was sincere. A month later, with new strength in her heart, she accepted. She enrolled in an auto mechanic training center, gradually regaining confidence in her abilities, but this time with modern tools and solid knowledge. Caleb helped her finance her studies and equip herself. But Emma wanted to go further. She dreamed of a workshop of her own, a place where passion and respect for the craft would guide every step. With Caleb's help, she launched a classic car restoration project, blending technique and art. The garage had a meaningful name, Lily's Hands, Lily's Hands. A tribute to her lost sister, a promise that their story would never be erased. Customers gradually flocked to the site, attracted by Emma's authenticity and talent. She infused each restored engine with a piece of her soul, a resilience forged in pain and hope. The past had left its scars, but a new chapter was opening, written with determined hands and a peaceful heart. Years had passed since that scorching day in the Arizona desert. Emma Brooks was no longer the young woman with blackened hands, alone in a dusty garage. She had become a respected entrepreneur, a leader in the world of classic car restoration. That evening, under the bright spotlights of a prestigious motor show in Los Angeles, Emma stood on stage, facing an attentive and captivated crowd. Car enthusiasts, investors, journalists, all gathered to celebrate art, technology, and passion. The flashes crackled, the microphones amplified his voice, but what resonated above all was the sincerity of his words, charged with palpable emotion. Everything changed the day I saw a ring, she began, her clear voice vibrant with sensitivity. A simple ring, a ring that brought me back to my sister, to my roots, to my story. She paused, scanning the room. This ring reminded me that blood ties, no matter how broken or distant, never truly fade. They always find their way back. In the audience, Caleb Morgan was there, sitting in the front row. His gaze was filled with pride and tenderness. At his feet, proudly parked, the black 1967 Mustang, now restored to the smallest detail, gleamed under the lights. A work of mechanical art, a reflection of the past and a symbol of a reinvented future. On his left hand, Lily's ring still sparkled, a faithful witness to an indestructible sisterly love. As applause erupted around her, Emma felt a profound peace wash over her. She knew this was only the beginning of a long journey, but also that, thanks to this ring and this unlikely encounter, she had found more than just a sister, she had found herself.